Welcome back to Wednesday night and open studio. What's going on, everyone? How are we all doing? Hopefully pretty good. Happy Wednesday. All right, we're jumping on, keeping going. We have our marching orders for this week. So I'm gonna put the windows in on this back building and just kind of like keep going. Turn this a little bit. Yeah, so last week we were talking about ooh, is that good? There it is. That's the black I want. Last week we were talking about kind of the rub between styles of art. How it's funny how, you know, when people are passionate about what they do, they let you know that, and that's great, you know. But also, I think these windows are too small. May not be that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Maybe not. Did I do a good thing? Huh. I think I did a good thing. Yeah, nice. Okay. It's all good. All good in the Tokyo hood. Yeah. Stuff. What are we talking about? I don't know. Yeah, there we go. So there's a building in there too. Gotcha. So yeah, I find it interesting that there is a weird kind of battle that keeps going back and forth between different styles of art and what I mean. I know everyone loves what they love, and that's awesome. But I find it interesting. So the kind of the thing that you want to keep in mind as an artist too, especially an artist who, if you enter juried shows, which is a great way to kind of get your art out there and seen, because you can, if you get into these shows in different places, some of them are museums, some of them are galleries, that kind of thing, it just gets your stuff out there for a reasonable, I say reasonable fee because most shows have a an entry fee, which is usually pretty okay. I've seen them as high as like $100, but usually generally they're about $20 to $40 for a lot of the shows. And trust me, no one's making money doing that. When they have an entry fee like that, that really just helps cover the cost of running these shows. There, especially a bigger show, there's a lot that goes into doing that. And that entry fee really just allows them to do that. So don't think that when they charge you $50 that they're making a ton of money. They're usually not. However, you want to be careful. Oh, see, this is how it happens. Just organically, we just come up with a soapbox. Juried Shows, hooray! So the other thing to keep in mind too is when you're looking at these juried shows, you want to really be careful about what you pick too. There are some shows that probably aren't that legitimate, and you don't want to get involved in that. So you want to do your homework. A great website to find juried shows is Cafe, which is Call for Entries. And I use this a lot to find new shows. And it's nice because you do have to kind of be, up and up, because this website is known by a lot of people. A lot of people use it. So if there's a not quite legitimate show, they're going to get called out pretty quick. However, that doesn't mean that they don't appear there. So you do have to do your homework on it. And what the homework is just once you see the call for entries, you can read their prospectus, which is the rules for the show. You can also go to a lot of, if they're reputable, they'll have a website that you can go to so you can check out where they are and what they are and who they are, and just get a feel for. That's what's so nice about Cafe. You can just kind of get all that, the lead on that information right out of the gate. So it's really nice to get into, to find these shows to kind of exhibit in. And what it does for you is it gets your stuff out there. And if you're doing, this kind of stuff, get your stuff out there. And it also gives you stuff for your CV, essentially your artist resume. You get into a juried show, and that means something. Because juried shows, it's not like you just enter and you get in. you have to be picked, right? I'm going to kind of keep working with the white all over this thing. Let's do this. Move this over a little bit like this. There we go. So, you have to be juried to get in, which means it's a selection process, obviously, and it's an honor to get in. Now, the first thing to note is, one, especially in a bigger, more prestigious show, getting in is the prize in a lot of these shows. So if you get into a show and don't win an award, that doesn't mean anything really. Getting into a good show, a prestigious show, is the award in itself. So keep that in mind. If you win an award in a big show, that's over the moon stuff. But just getting in the show is important. So the second thing to keep in mind is not getting into a show doesn't mean your stuff sucks. So keep that in mind. That's super, super important. I have more rejection letters than acceptance letters. Believe me, it's all part of the game. The thing you got to remember about that with juried shows, two things you want to keep in mind. They're usually juried by one person or two people. Those people have sensibilities, like we talked about last week. Like they like abstract art, and they don't feel strongly about photorealistic art. Now, if they're intelligent jurors, which a lot of the big shows make sure that the artists that are doing the jurying are reputable, they know what they're doing, they'll have pretty much an open mind, and they'll be looking for certain overall qualities that will benefit the show, for whatever that means, the topic of the show or whatever. So, but that still doesn't relieve them from having their own opinion. That's why they're chosen to do the show, because they have an opinion. So, and this has happened to me. I enter a show, I have my style of art, and it doesn't resonate with the judge. They like a certain thing, and my stuff isn't that, and I don't get in the show, and that's fine. You know what I mean? It's like, you can be okay with that. It doesn't mean your stuff sucks. It just means that your art didn't resonate with the juror, or it didn't resonate with the theme of the show, or whatever it is. The other real important thing to keep in mind, if you don't get into a show, there are only so many spaces on the wall, right? They can only allow so many pieces in whatever space they have, right? So if you have a big show that has like 1,000 entries, and they have 100 spots on the wall, your stuff could be number 101. You know what I mean? It's like they've picked the 100 that they feel are the best, but there are another 250 behind that could easily be swapped out into the show. So that's the other thing to really keep your head wrapped around. Because you don't get in doesn't necessarily, again, mean that, oh, my stuff sucks. No one likes my stuff. It may not be that. Now, you may be at the point in your career where you're aiming high, right? And your stuff isn't ready to get into that show. That's also true. Now, unfortunately, these jurors do usually have to go through a lot of art, and they can't give you feedback. It'd be nice if they said, hey, your stuff was great, but this is why it didn't get in. There's just not enough time, for a juror to do all that. So you got to you got to do your homework after the show opens. A lot of times these shows are online now as well as in person. So, you can look at what got in and how the stuff looks. And if you look at it and it's all your style, but it really is like, oh my gosh, I want my stuff to look like that, then you kind of say, okay, I got more work to do. If you look at the show and it's totally different than what you do, it's like, man, I don't even understand what that stuff is. Then you probably entered into a show that wasn't right for your style of art, what you were doing. Entering a show is just like getting a job. You have to do the legwork. Don't enter a show just because it's a prestigious show or a popular show that you heard about. You have to see if your stuff is going to fit in there. You really do. It's just like getting a job. You have to check to make sure your experience matches what they're looking for. Because sometimes there's a theme. Sometimes, sometimes the venue itself, like, is a museum of whatever type of art, and if you aren't doing that type of art, that might not jibe with what they're doing. So you really have to do your homework on it. And again, that's where cafe is really great. They'll put it all out there. If a show doesn't have a lot of info on it, you may want to avoid it just because you don't know if it's good or bad, like what you're doing, because there's just not enough info on it. The prospectus, or that set of rules, is gonna be real important to you. Read them, please. Read them, understand them, and it'll help you kind of get there. It'll help you make a decision on those shows. Because again, you don't want to throw yourself out there for something that you didn't have a shot of getting in because your style or what you're doing is totally different, or you enter a show that you want to get into, but you didn't read all the directions. You didn't realize that, okay, my painting is 5 feet by 7 feet, and I didn't notice that there's a size limit. You know what I mean? So really, really read those prospectus, or prospecti, I guess is the plural of prospectus. Read them, really read them, and understand what you're looking at, so that you can make a good decision on which shows you should be entering in the first place. It's really important. So yeah, so I really love juried shows. That's all wonky too. Probably pay attention to what I'm doing, huh? I love them. I know some people have different, kind of mixed feelings about them. But I think if you're trying to get your stuff out there, it's a pretty nice way to do it. And galleries will look at your CV, your resume, and that's a big part of it. It's a big part of it is where you've shown. And you can't just walk into a gallery and expect them to just pick you up. You need some sort of pedigree so that they know they can. I mean, most galleries are in business to sell art, so they're going to want to make sure that that you're sellable. And I know that sounds anti-art in a way. It's like, oh, we create our stuff and it's our message, and it is all that. But if you trying to make a living, and a gallery is certainly making a living at what they're doing, you have to be marketable, and having those shows under your belt is a great way to do that. I'll stress it again. Please, don't get discouraged when you don't get in, because no matter what is going on, there's always going to be an instance when you won't get in. I don't care who you are. So don't let up. I mean, yeah, I trust me. I get bummed out when I don't get into a show, especially when it's a show I really, really wanted to get into. Like last year's mid-year at the Butler, I really wanted to get into that show because the juror was Audrey Flack, which is amazing because she had a lot of success as a photorealist artist in the 70s. So I really wanted to meet her. I really wanted to get in that show. And I actually thought, this is the other thing too, like I'm thinking, oh, she does what I do. It'll be great, she understands it. So I didn't get my paintings in, maybe because she looked at it and she did understand it, and she saw it and said, hey, this guy needs to do some more work on whatever. Again, I'll never know, but you just gotta, like I said, you gotta take it all with a grain of salt. You don't let it fire you up, if you don't get in. Like, all right, I'm gonna work harder, I'm gonna do more stuff, I'm gonna make sure I'm better so that I know that it's not an instance of me not being where I need to be. So let it fire you up, but don't let it slow you down. Don't get too wound up about it. compartmentalize it is the word I was looking for. You know, just kind of put a box around it, give yourself time to, you know, grieve the loss in a way, but then get on, you know, keep moving on. All right. This is coming out lovely. I'm happy with this. I'm almost to the point where I got to do all these windows in this building, but they're funky, and I don't want to screw them up. So I'm going to wait on that and just do everything around it first. I still haven't got the wood for this frame. So the emergency moment for this is when I get about the halfway mark. Not emergency, because like I said, we're on what, hour 18 or something on this painting. We're in, I don't know what episode this will be. I think this is 37. So yeah, we're only about an inch up on this painting out of the 4 inches that it is. And again, I keep saying it over and over again, it's going to get faster as we get near the top. However, I'll still have some time in it. It's not like, you know, I'll get this section done and then it'll be done. It's going to take a little bit, but still, I want to have the wood here by the halfway mark of this painting. Especially because it's open studio. You know, if I'm just doing this painting, and then, you know, I don't get the wood in time, it's not a bad thing. You know, the painting could stay unframed. I have a couple pieces that are unframed over here that still need that type of stuff done. But this one needs to have the wood in here so that I can keep doing the videos, you know. If I don't have the wood, then this stalls out, and then that would not be a good look. So again, I mean, it's not a panic by any stretch yet, but make me feel better if I found a line on the wood that I want to use and got that in. Again, you know, for the final episode, I'm going to put all the framing in one episode, and I'm going to keep it to a half an hour this time, where in the other ones I went long. You know, I made it a long episode for the final, but I'm going to try not to do that with this one. I'll edit all the framing down to a half an hour, which is good because you don't need to see everything with that. Especially because I did it with the Mustang razor blade painting. You got to see everything pretty much. All right, I do want to make sure I get the layout in this set of windows right. This guy here, how do I feel about that? I think I can pull this one off. Yeah, a little bit of a same kind of color that I use. It's that scarlet, a little bit of red, but I wanted the pink so I could draw the corner of this building here in. Yeah, and the side here has a little bit lighter side to it too. Good. But yeah, like I said last week, check out if you want to get into Juried Shows. There's another thing I didn't mention too. Now, Cafe is a great resource because it gives you all the shows that are everywhere that are submitted to them, and you can search by location. So if you just want to do local shows, you want to drive your artwork there, that's a good idea. Just makes it a little bit easier, and it's nice when the show actually happens, you're close enough to go to the show, which is also super important. You want to be, if you get into a show, you want to be there at the opening. You want to be able to stand there and show off your art. That's networking is great, and it's fun to meet new people, but for me, that's a job. The opening, if I have a piece in the show, it's my job to be there and be able to explain my art and push it out there and all that stuff. But it does. It organizes it by distance. But the other thing to do too is use other artists that you respect, and a lot of artists will put their CV, their resume, on their website so you can see the shows that they've been in. So if you have a favorite artist and you want to see where they've shown, that's a really good idea, because you're leaning on the work that they've done in finding shows that match what they do. And by extension, you know, if you do the same style of art, it's more likely that your art will fit in those shows as well. So that's a good way to do it too. And that's not the right color at all. It's actually pretty much the same color. I want it a little bit darker here. Yeah, so cafe is really, really good. I like that a lot. Been using that for a while. Okay, windows, windows, windows. These are super tiny. Yeah, that was a no breather right there. Okay, swap that around like this. Nice, 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 nice. Okay. These here, same things. Unfortunately, not really for you guys, because you don't have to listen to me talk, but oh, there's a hair on the end of this brush. It's not good. Cool. A little bit flowy, but that's fine. Good. Let that dry a little bit, clean that up. Good. So again, this is a good example, the same kind of deal. You know, it's like I come in with this, you know, expectation of what I'm going to be doing. Like I'm like, oh, I'll just work on this and this part here and that part there. But then, you know, the painting takes over, you know, and that's fine for me. I enjoy that, you know, when the painting kind of says, okay, yeah, you're not going to be working on that today. You're going to move over here, because just train of thought or whatever. Or train wreck of thought, as it sometimes feels like. So we're down to this white building. When we get to 7 minutes left, we're doing great. This building here, I want to make sure I get the windows in kind of the right way. So let's see what the copy looks like, and if I can even see them. If I can't like really make them out, then I'm just gonna have to wing it. But we'll see what the copy looks like. Let me find a copy with those windows in it. Yeah, this will work. Yep, you can see them. Here we go. I'll show you guys. So there's that building. So you can see the you know, the variation in the sides of this building. So that's good. It's good because it'll give me enough that I can work from, as it were. Go. Yeah, this will work out well. So really, I think all I need is these windows here And I don't need all of them. I just need a few of them so I get them in the right spot and I can fill in the gap. The other thing I'm going to do, because I can, is I'm going to pull some of these over here as well. So if I get the windows on this side and the windows right here, I can fill in the gap in the middle. Yar. There we go. Kind of ignoring the rest of it, even though it should be pretty well lined up. That's white. That's not what I need. I need black. Beauties. Yeah, we're going to finish these buildings, which is going to be good. This is a big brush for this painting. This is the Eclipse CS. Iwata Eclipse CS, and I don't usually use this brush on a painting this scale. It's usually all microns, but all my microns have stuff in them because we've been working on stuff, so this brush will do this pretty well. If you do stuff like this, just remember that bigger airbrushes, meaning nozzle and needle size, will just move a lot more paint. So I got to be really careful with this brush not to pull the trigger back very far, because I'll flood this thing out easily. Especially with the way that I reduce the paints. Like that's 1 part paint to 1 part reducer, which is super thin for that brush. Good. Yeah, that gives me enough. Gives me enough to rock and roll. Okay, so let's start with that gray line. Probably too dark. There we go. Start with this line here. This is going to be too dark, right? Nah, it's not bad. Yeah, it's bad. All right, we're going to lighten that up a little bit. There we go. That's good. So there's that division. Those are the windows there, so we're good. And we got those windows and these windows. Yeah, we'll probably won't finish this tonight. It'll be close. We'll get all the windows in, but I don't think I'll have time to get the roof pieces in. So I'm going to turn this so I get a good angle on these. And since I made the cuts, I can see the angle on them. So that's really good too. And got fresh paint here, so we should be in good shape. Now remember, I didn't cut out every line because I couldn't. So I'll start with the ones I did do. And I think there's ones in between all of those. Yar. And in the little gray section between, there are windows again. Those are probably bathrooms. Okay, and then the corner has kind of a balcony thing going on. So we'll get that in. Good. That, and then the other section has, did I get them all? Yeah, I think I did. These are just two, oh, it was close. My pinky slipped. So I'll show you why that's a bad thing in a second. That's all those. Yar. Okay. You guys aren't going to be able to see this because it's too close. So what I do, and I've always done this. I don't know why. It's just, and I'm super glad I do, but You know what? Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to move the camera. Okay, welcome back. So, well, you had a little bit farther back view, but that's where we're at right now. Is that focused? Yeah, there we go. All right. Anyway, I'll show you the full. Well, there it is. I'll show you the full thing in a second. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, the way I paint and draw, for some reason, I learned early on, just by myself, I think. But you know, if you can pick up this, it might help you out because I rely on this a lot. So when I'm using a paintbrush or even my airbrush, my pinky is usually always on the surface, like this. It just adds as kind of like a stabilizing thing. So, you know, a lot of people will draw with kind of tucked in like this, but by having my pinky out, I can really stabilize that brush. It's just kind of a neat thing, you know. I do it with everything. I've done it, you know, when I'm writing. When I'm writing, it's the same thing, you know. It'll be kind of braced somewhere as I'm, you know, doing what I'm doing. So that's kind of a neat thing. But so what happened was when I was when I went to go put that dot in, when I said my pinky slipped, that's exactly what happened. I was getting ready to put the thing in, and then, you know, I think it was like this or whatever, and my pinky just kind of like slipped out. And what happens is, you know, you lose that brace and you end up jamming the paintbrush into the surface. So there you go. All right. So there's a kind of close up, but here is the full view of this painting now. And yeah, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So you know what to do. Please hit that like and subscribe. That would make me feel really good, and it'll help us out here as we march on to getting bigger and badder here. If you'd like to support us in a more financial way, you can do what these wonderful people have done. Become a member here. You know, you do that, you get a discount on my website, and you also get early access to the Time Lapse Tuesday. If you want to jump over on Patreon, I'm working on special things for my Patreon members, so that would be wonderful. All right, so for Steve Leahy and Through Lachlan's Eyes, I'll catch you all next week. Thanks a lot.